So yeah, I'm gonna go around again. I kind of got Sage's thoughts a little bit about it, but I wanted to get the rest of you guys, and I probably heard a little bit from Mike also about it. But Akira Toriyama, just as far as the impact that he may have had on your lives, and his creation, obviously in not just Dragon Ball, but also other things, Chrono Trigger and Dragon Quest,
Doctor Slump.
uh, Doctor Slump, things like that. Josh, what about you? What did Akira Toriyama mean to you?
This was like the passing of like a great uncle or something like that that used to have like all of the great stories when you were a kid. It used to like just like family gatherings to hear him tell stories. Cause like growing up, like before I really knew what anime was, like Dragon Ball Z was life. Like we thought it was really like a cartoon before like we got exposed to fully what anime was. So like I grew up with his creations like the original Dragon Ball, and then going into Z and then Kai and Super and all of the other variations of it. Like and then I'm really into like the Son Goku lore, like the Monkey God, the Sun God, in Japanese lore. So it's kind of like all of that went together, and Toriyama made it like relatable and like easy to learn, easy to read. So I kind of like it. It's definitely sad to see him pass because there would be nothing like him to ever come back around or another product like Dragon Ball Z that influence everything. Because I feel like if you can go to any type of culture or entertainment, there's some Dragon Ball Z reference at some point from Very Odd Parents to music to battle rap to uh, food. You can pick whatever. Dragon Ball Z is by far my most influential anime, and all of that was made possible by Akira Toriyama. So it's much sadness that comes with him passing, but I definitely give him his flowers. He go down my goat for sure. So
Yeah. Do you have
yeah.
a preference? Do you like Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT?
Um, to be honest, my favorite would have to be GT, even though it's not like technically canon. But that would be my favorite. And then like if we had to go main timeline, it'd be like the original Z that came out early, like 2006, 2008 ish, like that one. Not the remake one. I like the original one.
Because the remake one is what? Kai, right?
Ah, yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah, it's a
it's like
remaster, like without
yeah, it's
filler.
sped up. Yeah, it's sped up.
Mm. All right. What about you, Mike?
It's man, it's still honestly, it's really hard to wrap your head around it right now. It's just like one of the most not just manga artists, but just artists, especially like in our lifetime, has like passed away. It's like it would kind of be like if I don't know, like Stanley and Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko were like the same person and died, and all passed away at the same day. It's just like, oh man, because I've been into like Dragon Ball stuff since I was like 6 or 5, because that was actually the first manga I picked up actually, because I came across like a little Shenron figurine in the sand when I was like a little boy in San Diego, and like I was like, oh, what's this? And I carried it around with me, like just looking at like the design was so cool. It was such different from all the other dragons, and then they introduced me to the Dragon Ball manga, like, oh, it's from this, and yeah, I had to get used to reading from right to left, but like, man, it was just like everything just like kind of broke my mind, like kind of like the shifting genres and like the comedy mixed with the action and just how well the choreography is and how iconic and noteworthy all the characters are. And it's just been like a huge part of my life. And man, it's honestly it's really hard to like process like Toriyama's death like even now. And it's like I know many of my favorite creators as well have like a lot of people have like other artists like Oda, one of my probably my favorite one of my favorite writers of all time is like, yeah, Toriyama was like an incredible influence to Oda's work and stuff like that. It's like just how noteworthy he was. It's really kind of impossible to understate at the moment. Yeah, I do hope like his family does well, and I do hope like he inspires other people uh, in the future as much. Uh, Yeah, I think you can see some of it in my work because, like, when we were working on like an animatic pilot, like we do make a direct reference to like several Dragon Ball moments, but like, yeah, it's one of those things of like, uh, it's one of those things that will show up in like every kind of network or TV show, like from like Cartoon Network to now comics to like anime. It's just like the incredible thing, and like that guy's work ethic. Even though like he called himself like a notorious lazy person, still incredible. Like you can really just look at some of the panels he did, and even just some designs. It's just like there's nothing like it.
Mm, yeah. And he passed away at 68 years old.
Yeah, which is not sadly uncommon for a lot of mangakas or Japanese animators. Yeah, they definitely need a better work system and ethic.
Sage, I know you said you don't have much exposure. You didn't watch Dragon Ball growing up. But when he was gone, did you feel that loss there of Akira Toriyama?
Yeah, I still did a little bit. Most of my exposure to the IP comes from the video game side. When I was young, I would go over to my cousins and they'd be playing Budokai, and so I got kind of a Cliff Notes version of the story from the video games. I never really sat down to watch the anime, although I'm thinking about giving it more of a try in the near future. But even without having as much of a personal kind of direct feel for all of it, I still, it still meant something in my childhood. The designs are still very memorable. A lot of the, at least English voices, are still very memorable. And even without being as invested in Dragon Ball itself, you can still see its influence everywhere. I mean, that's something I think I can recognize at a moment's notice, even without being intimately familiar with it.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, do you have a favorite series?
It's
Ball.
tough because it's like there's like all of them have such highlights. Like I really love the whole Android saga and all that, and like Saiyan saga is like where a lot of the characters really come forward, but like also that 23rd Budokai like Tenkaichi tournament was just like man, like to this day one of the best tournaments out there. Like it's like right up there. Like other tournaments still reference it to this point. It's just like such a it's one of those things of like, yeah, you can just go to like the sagas he went to and just like kind of like latch onto it. But like I think that's also like a demonstration of just like how talented Toriyama was with a lot of his work.
Josh, do you have a favorite Dragon Ball moment at all?
Moment. I couldn't give you one moment, but I guess you could say like a recurring theme. If you ever notice, whenever Vegeta fights, he hurts the same arm and he holds the exact same way. No matter what the injury is, if he got hit with a blast, a kick, a punch, thrown through a mountain, whatever, he's gonna hold that arm the exact same way, and that's been the thing since his first entry into Dragon Ball Z. And like that's just one of my little like subtle things that Toriyama put in. That's like, only the real gonna pay attention to this arm, him holding his arm, like. Android 18 is going to kick him in his own. Yeah, like the moment she kicked him in the chin, pretty much, but his arm was broke. Like it was just like, all right, cool. But it's just a trope, and I really enjoy it. It's like those little, you see what I'm saying? Like the arm's over with. His arm was never the same after that. Never the same after that. But it's just one of those little things. And then like I say, like if I had to literally zero in on one moment, it'll probably be another Vegeta moment when he sacrificed himself to try to blow up Majin Buu. And he had a speech thanking Goku, Bulma, his family, everybody telling them he loved them, shedded a tear, which was the first time we really seen an emotional side of Vegeta. And then he ended up sacrificing himself for nothing. So it was like, wow, you did all that and it didn't even mean anything. So that was one of my top two moments for sure.
Is Vegeta your favorite character?
Yeah, for sure. Without a doubt. It's not close. It's not close.
Do you have a favorite moment at all there, Mike?
It's tough. The Gohan Super Saiyan 2 transformations up there. Same with like also Piccolo sacrificing himself to save Gohan, all that stuff, and like all Piccolo's moments are great. Also, like the whole Mr. Satan Majin Buu arc where you see like, no, Mr. Satan's like an actual hero, and stuff like that. Like he's not just a fraud and a huckster. Like he's a man with a good heart. Just how much like kind of a lot of the redemption, a lot of character skits, a lot of fun. But yeah, it is really hard to list down. Yeah, it's also like there are so many iconic moments. It's like it's kind of hard to talk about like the whole Goku Super Saiyan transformation. Like everyone knows that now of like, but yeah, man, it's one of those things of like, yeah, you can basically make a list of your favorite moments.
Sure. Top 10.
What about you? I know you said you didn't really watch the show, but the video game moments. Did you pick up some of the story from the video games there?
Yeah, I'd probably go with Gohan Super Saiyan 2.
Yeah.
That was one of those moments in the very first Budokai game. They had like lengthy, pretty well animated 3D cutscenes.
Go on, let it go.
They spent a lot of time on that particular moment or that particular arc. I felt like it was almost half of that game's story.
For sure.
I always thought that was a pretty effective moment.
Yeah. Going Super Saiyan 2 was a big moment. Gohan's my favorite character for sure. So I did love that a lot. The family Kamehameha, that was pretty good. With him and his father, that was a good moment. Piccolo is also one of my favorite characters, so to see him and Gohan together, that was really nice. And see that in Super too, to see it in Superhero. Now he's training the granddaughter, the daughter now of Gohan. That was a sweet thing. And Piccolo is just like an old uncle. He holding the phone with two fingers. He's using the button. Probably got the phone on large ass font there. 80K font. He's got this shit on. So yeah, that was kind of sweet to see that. And you do see these characters. They become fathers and grandfathers. Like Goku is a grandfather.
He's in his 50s.
Yeah. I remember I saw something on Twitter. Somebody I guess had a manga where it was like he forgot Pan. He forgot his granddaughter's name.
Yeah, Super. Which that kind of struggles with some of the keeping the characterization a bit because it was technically two people now. Well, now it's one person. It's just Toritaru.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's like, well, I mean, hey, he's taking a lot of hits to the head. Maybe it's just that Super Saiyan, dementia coming in. I don't know.
Maybe he thought she was bread. Maybe he thought they meant like actual bread.
I was gonna say, in my mind, like over a quick recap, I don't think he ever met her.
No, he's met her a few times,
but not like what I'm saying, like how we were introduced to like Gohan, Goten, like they had moments together, little training montages. He was out doing things. Pan was just an afterthought for her. Yeah, I ain't think about her. But Pan from GT that helped him get the Dragon Balls. They had a real bond and real moment. This new story, Pan, I don't know. I don't think he's gonna have too much of a bond with her for real.
But yeah, it was fun, man. I remember back in the day, I used to look on the school computer, Dragon Ball, like Super Saiyan, 8, what that would look like.
Super Saiyan Infinity.
So that was a good moment there. Oh, hey, thank you for the raid there, Kay. Thank you very much for that. Very much appreciated there. Yeah, and I don't know, Joshua, you ever like this? You ever try to go Super Saiyan?
Never.
Oh man, Mike, you ever try to go Super Saiyan like this, Mike?
No. I have thought of doing a Kamehameha though. Like maybe I can shoot it with my mind. Oh boy.
I mean, I think he's came the closest
he's
anybody
for it.
Yeah, he's gonna pop a blood vessel. Look at him. Yeah, he's gonna get really into it. Yeah, I remember this video when it first dropped. He was crazy.
Jesus, man, it's like a car. It's like switching engines.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, also it's kind of been overhauled a bit by One Piece now, but like also all the MMA or the Olympics people who like they'll strike the iconic pose, they'll do the Kamehameha or the Gallican or.
Oh man, I think he's came the closest any human being has ever come to being Super Saiyan.
He wanted it real bad. He could have it.
Oh man. But you speak about it. So do you all think that the the one true successor to Dragon Ball is One Piece?
Kind of, sort of. It's undeniably influenced by Dragon Ball, and like Toriyama's like a massive Dragon Ball fan, but like I say he's probably the closest we got now to a modern Akira Toriyama. Completely different writing styles, by the way. Uh, Oda remembers everything. Toriyama forgets everything. Toriyama remembers a lot more than people give him credit for, but yeah, Oda's like a lot more detailed and like calculated and like stuff like that. Like Toriyama likes to play fast and loose with the rules, obviously. And he likes to play fast and loose with the characters, but he's still able to pull back from older stuff while making it feel a bit organic, like with the whole Red Ribbon Army and Cell kind of coming back. Yeah, I would say maybe like a spiritual successor in some way than like just a straight up successor.
What about you, John? You watch a lot of One Piece, just like Mike there. Would you say that One Piece is going to eclipse Dragon Ball for his, influence?
It's tough. This is what I'll say, right? It's One Piece is my GOAT anime. Like it's my number one top all time, So will it be more influential? No. Will it be bigger than Dragon Ball Z by the end of One Piece? Yeah. But bigger or more influence? No. I just feel like it's been cemented for so long that in order to eclipse it, it would have to take some extremely long time. But I think One Piece will go down as the biggest anime in history just because of everything it's done outside of just being an anime.
It's kind of like a Star Wars, Star Trek thing. Like how big they are.
It's eclipse. It's eclipse.
Or like Doctor Who, or just like it's one of those series with just insane iconography.
Yeah. And it's not over. We got at least 4 more years, maybe.
Probably, I'm guessing maybe 2 years. We are technically in the final arc, but that's right. Oda. Oda likes to do the long hauls.
long haul. So there's no. So and then we don't know what's going to happen after. Like it might could be a spinoff. There's no telling what really could go on. So
yeah. So I mean, because if you combine all the series of Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Super, it's only half of as many episodes.
One Piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's I even think of it as just the original manga. It's maybe in totals, I think it's around 600-ish chapters. One Piece is still we're still in the thousands.
quickly in the
thousands. Kate here said, I think Naruto has a lot more in common with Dragon Ball series than One Piece. Think so?
Yeah. I can't say yes, but I won't dispute it neither because at the end of the day, it's still a take. It's a hot take, but it's a take. I compare Naruto to Jujutsu Kaisen. Those two are parallel to me. As far as Dragon Ball, I don't think there is one that directly correlates. Now, did you take something out of Dragon Ball and then put it in your anime? Most likely. But as far as a direct correlation, I don't think so.
Dragon Ball's a really hard series to kind of you can get series of really it has that vibe, but Dragon Ball you kind of get mostly just kind of vibes, but more so references, just straight up homages and references, even just characters. Basically, it's not that Dragon Ball created that tech, but it did create the iconic pose and the look of this, and then a beam or a ball shoots out of energy of that. And same thing with transformations. It did not create the transformation arc, but it did incredibly popularize it, and also made it a big thing for a lot of heroes now. It's all that stuff. Yeah. It is also just kind of the way it was able to kind of pull back to the Monkey of the West influence with Goku transforming of because now it's it's a second when you find out he's an alien, it's kind of their thing of the Monkey King is from heaven, and he has to go on this journey, all this stuff, and find out his true meaning. But he also transforms at the end. and it kind of achieves like was it like Nirvana or whatever, like the higher state.
Mm. Yeah. And there is still more of Toriyama's work that's going to be coming out this year. So there's the new Dragon Ball series that's coming out, and we are going to review that when it does drop there. Josh, would you join us for that? You guys?
For sure, definitely. You know I'm here for that.
Yeah, Mike, I would love for you to join us.
Yeah, it's a fun kind of like throwback of now they're kind of like younger and all stuff.
Yeah. Sage, he affectionately calls it the Dragon Ball Muppet Babies there. He affectionately calls that there. But I like it. I like the animation. I like the art style here. Very good combination. The old art style, just updated, modern to more today's age. I like that. It's really cool there. And I kind of miss this Goku with the staff, with the Nimbus cloud there. Really nice.
Yeah.
So,
Some characters just like blowing up planets.
I feel like it pays homage.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, my fault, Mike.
No, just like ripping apart dimensions to kill their next opponent.
I feel like it pays homage to the people who weren't old enough or weren't around when the original Dragon Ball came out. A lot of them don't understand like the lore of what it was. So like this is like giving them like a warm little, hey, look at this and let's see if you were interested enough to go back. Like Sage might watch this and they'd be like, well, you know what? I might actually sit down and start Dragon Ball as a series and see if I really like it. Like it's just for me, it's like that teaser because when we got the superhero movie, one of my friends who wasn't into Dragon Ball, he didn't know what the Red Ribbon Army was, nor their importance because he's never seen Dragon Ball. So it's like, okay, cool. The only part he knows about is like the androids, but there's so much more with that, you know. So it's like I feel like this is just a little sampler to keep everybody's mouth watered.
Say, would you be more inclined to watch all of Dragon Ball as opposed to all of One Piece?
Yes.
It's significantly shorter. Also, especially also
much less time.
It's also like if you're gonna watch it, One Piece has like a lot of filler and a lot of the episodes are a lot more spaced out. Dragon Ball does have filler, but it's a lot shorter for the most part. I will say it is from the late 80s to early 90s. Some comedy doesn't age super well. Master Roshi's on some kind of list.
Goku is too. Goku is
to be fair, Goku was like a child and probably didn't know.
He did Bulma dirty a couple times.
He was straight up 12. There's a rule dismissible for that. But like, it's just like, but you know, it kind of grew throughout time, and like also luckily now we do have Kai, which is just like a super condensed it is just basically the manga adaptation, like straight for straight. Some like stuff gets left out, like some of the violence gets edited out a bit, like the blood and some of the kills, but
I've heard the music is different.
Yes, there's a whole copyright issue with that. There's a bunch of copyright drama with Dragon Ball's English music that's like it's too much to get into for here.
We spoke a little bit about this before, me and Sage, and Mike, you kind of hit on it about Toriyama dying, passing away at 68, which seems like it's kind of fairly common for a lot of mangakas here.
Kento Miro from Berserk, sadly as well. One of my favorites.
You have this person that says
represent Red here too.
Oda gets an average of 3 hours of sleep a day when he's working, and dude has also type 1 diabetes and gout as well. Kubo has done irreparable damage to his shoulder. Takahashi's back is practically obliterated. Mangaka's putting themselves through a lot. And
Kishimoto permanently destroyed his hand, and like he wasn't able to go on his honeymoon until Naruto was finished.
Jeez, and then Sage was telling me about Takahashi, who's the creator. He's the creator of Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter there.
His thing's crazy.
Like he's already made contingency plans to pass it on to his wife.
Hopefully, it is one of those things of like, it's like when you read all the stuff, it's like, dude, just please go get help. Or
it's like a double-edged sword because we don't want you to stop. But at the same time, we don't want you to die. So it's like, I don't know. But I feel like the average lifespan is probably like 60 for them, maybe give or take 60, 62.
Something like that.
Yeah, so it's like, kind of looking back at it, because it's not like it's a health issue of, like, eating and stuff like that. It's just the workload that they take
No, yeah.
on and the time it takes to really do everything. So it's like I appreciate their craft a lot more. So, like, if you gotta take a month off, then take that month off. But
Yeah.
we need you to come back though. So, like, do what you
Araki's
gotta
doing
do.
well.
Yeah.
Araki's doing very well from
Mm,
JoJo, and he
mm,
cannot age to save his life.
yeah. I don't know. He got a different type of rice or
Oh yeah.
something. He on a different diet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So rest in peace to Akira Toriyama. Yeah, great job. I mean, huge influence there. A lot of people mourning the loss of him, paying tribute. So that was great to see. As always there. All right there. So let's get into this movie review. So we only got one review for the day, and that is going to be for Dragon Ball Super Broly. Here. So, from my understanding, with this movie right here, the Broly movie, this is a retcon basically of the Broly character. This is introducing him into canon before he wasn't canon. So, this is what this
Mhm.
movie is doing here. And it's a very simple film here. You're just getting introduced to the Broly as a character. You're basically introduced to his backstory, his childhood. He was this genetic experiment by the Saiyans there in order to fight the force of Frieza. And then it ended up kind of being taken away, being on a planet there, stranded on a planet with him and another Saiyan, his mentor, father figure in a way there, who only trained him for one purpose, and that is to be the powerful Super Saiyan there to eventually fight. And you also see that the presence of also Goku and Vegeta in this as well. Them discovering of the legendary Super Saiyan Broly, and always up for a new challenge and fighting and training as they always are, looking for someone always bigger and stronger to test their limits. Um, yeah, and I mean, majority of this movie is an hour and 40 minutes long. Probably about a good 50 minutes is this them beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, it was
Right.
originally going to be 3 hours. That
Mhm.
was Akira Toriyama's script. It was going to be a 3 hour script, but they're like, we have to edit this down, dude.
Is this 3 hour fight scenes? This 3 hour,
No, I,
yeah.
I was thinking it was probably going to be more 3 hour drama and stuff like that because there's a significant amount of this movie that's dedicated to just Broly's backstory and the characters talking and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the basic setup here you have of the film there. Did you guys see it in dubbed or did you see it in sub?
I saw it in dubbed.
I saw it in both.
Yeah,
Okay. What
Just
about you? Just dub. Okay. All right.
yeah.
We're interested to get you guys' opinion. Let's go around. So Sage, since this was your first Dragon Ball movie there, what were your thoughts on Dragon Ball Super Broly?
Well, as someone that's mostly had exposure in the form of video games, uh, with how much of this was just kind of one giant action scene, it almost felt like I was watching a long cutscene from one of the video games. Uh, there's so much of this that is spectacle, and it is what I enjoy about the IP. I have always been a little hesitant to get into the anime for filler reasons, like we just maybe mentioned that there is a decent amount of filler in the actual show. But I thought that this kept a super brisk, consistent pace. I actually kind of got into some of the narrative at the beginning, especially with the backstory, especially with just how just over the top evil some of Frieza's dialogue and actions are. I got a few pretty good laughs out of that too.
yeah.
Mhm. Nice. What about you, Mike?
I really really love this. It was a great theater experience. I love the story and even the stuff that I thought was kind of weaker or stuff that I wasn't a huge fan of, like the kind of prelude of like some of the sane society and seeing it so much is like I'm not a huge fan of that, but it was like it's still done in a really interesting way, in a way that like actually kind of works for this. Because I kind of like the idea more of just saying it's just kind of being like on irredeemable sociopathic conquerors, but like I like how you see kind of the origin of Frieza and his army and like the introduction of scouters and all this stuff. And Broly's backstory is great. They cannibalize another Saiyan, obviously. But yeah, Broly's a really fun character. I love how is definitely a pullback more to the there. Even though it's more dramatic, there is still like a lot of comedy. Like there's a lot of setup as well. Like Bulma's hilarious. Like her whole I wanted to use it to get younger, and then like with the drag balls, but by 5 years, so it has to look natural. Then we have Frieza's goal of like his goal is to get the drag balls to become 5 centimeters taller so it can look natural. That got a big laugh as well of like the whole Goku, and it got like the one laugh of like the fusion from me of like, because usually the fusion dance failing isn't really funny to me. It's like, oh, they're fat, oh, they're skinny, it's like whatever. But like when they teleport away, it's just like off screen Frieza's getting like his ass beaten by Broly for just like a solid hour off screen. And you just cut to like every now and then you just cut to like Broly's just fist just like ramming him into a mountain. Yeah, it was great. Broly's characterization is really good. Same with like Paragus, making them more kind of like more 3-dimensional characters and like, you know, uplifting their designs and stuff like that. Yeah, I love Chile and Lemon. Those two are a lot of fun and they're great. Like they end up being a great trio with Broly and stuff like that. Yeah, and it was one of those things of like it was really fun to see Toriyama come back and do a script like this because his involvement in the Super franchise is more of like just like a yes, no, or like add this, but like he's not hands on. He wasn't hands on while it was being made, but like this is like no, it was a script he made, and he did a lot of designs for the characters as well. I do believe he did the original Broly design. He did most of the movie villains like designs. Despite, you know, not writing for most of any of them. But yeah, it was like a lot of fun of just like just a great experience. It does lean to fan service definitely a bit at the end. With like Goku being like, you can call me Kakarot and all this stuff, but like it was just a really great treat, especially like after I don't know, it was just kind of a fun thing like years after like a Dragon Ball movie like this came out.
And does Goku typically do that? Like people that go by Kakarot, or
Not terribly. Sometimes, mostly to just Vegeta. But then again, he like Broly right now is the only Saiyan he's really in contact with, like full living Saiyan from Vegeta, Planet Vegeta.
Yeah. And yeah, with this movie, you do see a lot of backstory there about what happened to Planet Vegeta, what about happened to the Saiyans, about what Frieza did. You see the backstory also with Goku and his father, Bardock. You do see that, and I mean, Sage, he was kind of shook when I told him, "Man, Frieza's the best racist in the galaxy." There, you know, yeah, ultimate racist, Frieza, good old Frieza.
Oh yeah, it just shows up to a planet and starts like hurling slurs.
This is what he does.
My 5-year-old son do everything he tells me now.
Oh yeah.
What about you, Josh? What are your thoughts on Dragon Ball Super Hero?
You know, I mean, Mike touched on a lot of the great points. To piggyback kind of off what he said, I think that only pure-blooded Saiyans from Planet Vegeta call Goku Kakarot. Everybody else pretty much calls him Goku for the most part. So like him introducing himself to Broly, that was like him paying homage to his Saiyan heritage, which was like the first time I could really like really acknowledge that he did that. I like the fight scenes are crazy. I like the adaptation of the storyline, the introduction of characters. I like the inclusion of Golden Frieza because the movie right before that and Resurrection F, we had saw like, okay, Golden Frieza might be a problem. And then in the following movie, Broly showed like this is light work.
Yeah. Also, Chris Ayres' last English performance is Frieza, sadly enough, as well. Mm-hmm. But that dude killed it. Despite having lung cancer, that dude
killed it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of a sad thing in the industry. But like, yeah, it's a great kind of last performance for him to go out on. Sadly enough.
It's a mic drop for sure. It's a mic drop.
Yeah.
Here's a little bit of his performance right here. A little bit.
Hello, monkeys. Your threats are as empty as your title. All hail, Vegeta, Prince of No One.
I've been serving as the commander of your forces, my lord. Just in your absence, of course.
You've been in charge.
That laugh is iconic too.
Yeah. Oh
as
yeah.
well.
The
It's top 10.
Japanese villain
Top
laugh.
10.
Oh.
Yeah, top 10.
Uh-huh.
I think I got Frieza as in my top 2 most racist characters in anime. It's between him and the second Hokage in Naruto, Toriyama. Those two, man, wicked for sure. But as far as like the overall movie, I really like it. Me being a more fan of the old one, and that's only because I kind of like that version of Broly a little better, but I like what they did with this one. Like, I'm not taking anything away from the new one. I just like the older one because it was like more so. King Vegeta was jealous that Broly power level was higher than Prince Vegeta's. So like he exiled him because nobody could be stronger than my son. And then that's why he developed the hate. And then the bad part about it was that he was mad at Goku because Goku wouldn't stop crying in his little pie. It was like, I don't know about that. But then when they morphed it to this one and how he was trained to hate Goku from the beginning and all that, I was like, okay. I really like that adaptation. And I like the inclusion of Beerus and Whis.
Oh
But,
yeah.
and they always just stay. And he's like, oh well, I can't interfere, but I'm gonna watch. I really like that part. And then like him pretty much manhandling everybody in base form Super Saiyan. Like, yeah, you are the legendary Super Saiyan, but you only really went Super Saiyan 1 to our knowledge. So it's kind of like
hilarious genre savvy bit where Frieza's like, can he not go Super Saiyan? He's like, no, we're gonna die. He's like, I'm not so sure. He just kills Paragus. Goes, Broly, it's a tragedy. Broly, look at me.
Yeah,
And then
one of the
he goes,
blasts killed your
look,
father.
you killed your dad. I don't know what happened.
First of all, there's clearly a hole in your chest. These key blasts that's been getting shot out are this big. The hole in your dad is this big. We know where that came from. Broly definitely snapped. The only thing I'll say that I like that a lot of people didn't, I feel like didn't notice was the green apparel, like with him holding on to the ear from the the alien beast from the planet. Old Broly just had a green sash on. It was just a regular like green sash. So them making that at value was really a great plus for me, considering that Toriyama's pretty much just executive producer, pretty much just, hey, let's do this. I really like that tidbit, that inclusion of information. Like they added a lot of details to the original story that I enjoyed.
Yeah. So what was different about compared to the Dragon Ball Z Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan movie, compared to this?
It's Dragon Ball Z Super movie. It's been kind of talked about, but like Broly's more of like in that he is the quote unquote legendary Super Saiyan. Like he's the actual origin of the myth. In this, it's been confirmed he's just a Super Saiyan. Like as far as we know, he's not like the legendary Super Saiyan. And it is kind of interesting the whole. Though in this movie, it's not so much like it's not just him going Super Saiyan. It's more like the Ozaru form is like kind of like his power up, and like it's in his mind. And it's more of a psychosis thing. Yeah, the original movie is just kind of like for me. It's like for the most part, it's like it's really long and there's like kind of a lot of filler, and it's not like a ton of until like the last like 20 minutes where there's just a huge fight. It's just everyone throwing everything at Broly until basically Goku puts a hole in his chest. And then Broly returns 2 times in very weird subplots. One where like they're sacrificing children to dinosaurs, but
yeah, it was a lot of weird stuff. For me, the biggest difference is, for one, Goku and Vegeta were nowhere near as strong as they were in this movie versus the original movie. Like, I'm pretty sure they can only go Super Saiyan 2 at most.
Goku can go Super Saiyan 2.
Yeah, Goku could go Super Saiyan 2
maybe.
at that point.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, give or take. And then now they're in blue and they went God and all that. So, like, obviously they were better to power scale because he manhandled everybody in that movie. He dragged Trunks through 3-4 buildings with one hand. He was grabbing key blasts. And that Broly, when he went into like the legendary form and got super buff, he talked shit. Like he talked a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Like he's all, that's it. Oh, my turn. Like, and he was like popping up on
Also,
Piccolo.
yeah, absurdly hulkish, huge, like
Yeah,
10 feet tall, like shoulders like fucking logs.
yeah. He was like 6'9", 355, 100% muscle. Like it was crazy. He was more of like a brute force, and this one they made him more of like a regular Saiyan that just was misled. And that he was a weapon, pure weapon. And it's like, I agree. There was a lot of filler, but I feel like it was story building because we hadn't had a lot about what was going on with other Saiyans or what Broly had going on before because it was a mystery for us about what the legendary Super Saiyan was. So it was a nice introduction. That's why I said that new adaptation did a great job of what that movie couldn't. I just like it personally better off of nostalgia purposes. Like that was the introduction to the most OP Dragon Ball character we had seen at that point. Like when Dragon Ball Z Segas came out, the game that was around that time, Broly was OP. He was one punch and KO people on the game. And then if you played Budokai Tenkaichi, if somebody picked Broly, you were getting off the sticks. You just go ahead and let that go because Broly was just he was like you ever met like that kid at the school that was just bigger than everybody? Like he may not have been good at one thing, but he was just bigger than everybody, and you just didn't want no problems. That's how like Broly was for me. So it was just like I really had that love for that Broly.
Okay. And Broly in this is more of a sympathetic figure, like I said, more misled, and very much more acting on instinct, animal instinct, rather than any human instinct. But you see that through his kind of bond. And who were the two characters there that you mentioned there, Mike? Oh, you're muted there. Oh, yeah, you're still muted. Yeah. You said Chani and Lemon. You said
Lemon.
Yeah,
And,
sorry, Chile and Lemon. I don't know why
Yeah.
it went mute.
yeah, Chili and Lemon there.
But yeah, Chile is the small green girl with white hair and huge fan base.
yeah,
Lemon,
crazy.
yeah, Lemon's a lot of fun. He's a more of the grouchy old person just working for the Frieza Force, and it's you get to see Frieza actually pays his minions to a degree, which I guess you can kind of assume it's because like now he's like, oh, now that he's back and the Empire's not doing well, he does like actually need minions that aren't just he's not going to vaporize every minute.
Yeah, no, I think they got paid after he left. Like when he left and the other guy took over, that's when they started getting paid because there was no overwhelming force to keep everybody in line. So if we actually pay y'all might listen to what we got going on.
I mean, like a lot of the stuff like it's been a thing, but like the Saiyans were basically just straight up working for Frieza under threat of being killed.
They were slaves.
Same with most races in the universe.
They were slaves.
Yeah. You see these characters right here.
Yeah, and see this Broly right was protective over the younger characters and like the weaker person. The old Broly was enslaving kids, and he was threatening to blow their planet up. Like just because Goku had pissed him off, he blew the moon up. Like just because. Like this Broly was like, oh, she fed me and gave me water, so I'm a rock with her. Like it was just like, oh, okay. I get it. You're more sympathetic.
Yeah. And these characters do show back up in Dragon Ball Superhero there. I remember because didn't Beerus have a thing for
yeah. Beerus expressed the fan this point of like, I like this one.
Yeah, I feel like that was for us. That was for everybody, waifu and her. They was like, let's do it.
Now that they are characters in the manga now, mostly just staying on Beerus's planet for the most part. It seems like I am very curious of like what's going to come from this. Like especially with kind of where it's going. And I do know Toriyama did have a plan. Like he did have general ideas he wanted to explore before his passing. And Tortaro, who was like, right by his side, he likely knows it. And I do wish Tortaro the best, and I hope like he can work well with like maybe bring on other editors or stuff like that as well, and like hopefully like really nail this because it is a hard it's an unmanageable task I imagine for him. And I hope he does very well.
And it's definitely for me. I feel like it's gonna be make or break. Like this could, if he does one thing wrong, that's it. Like that's gonna destroy the whole thing. Like 9 times out of 10, he's not gonna get a second chance to like redo whatever is messed up. Like, because we got 2 arcs that are yet to be animated with the Granola arc and the Moro arc.
Yeah, Grant, it's
So-
still ambiguous if they are going to do that or if they're going
Right.
to go forward from this.
Right.
I would like. I expressed this before, and of course, it was also when Toriyama was alive. But like, I would have loved just every now and then, like every few years, we just get a Dragon Ball Super movie. I'm like, let's see where the characters are now and stuff like that. Like, that was what I love so much about superhero. It's just a funny kind of like fun, almost like pulp adventure in a way. Like the stakes can be high, but like given the fact that this is Dragon Ball, it's like, you can be savvy with it. Like you can play with it and like kind of have more jokey villains as the threat.
Mhm.
I was gonna say, Sage, what do you think about some of the newer characters here? Have you got much experience, with Beerus or Whis or Lamont or anything?
Only from was it Dragon Ball Fighters that came out a
Oh,
couple
yeah.
years ago? I've seen them there, but this is like the only narrative context I've gotten.
Oh,
for
yeah.
them. Visually, I really appreciate the designs for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I think they. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say Beerus was based off Toriyama's old cat.
Oh, that's
Mhm.
great.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
he had
if
like a
you-
hairless cat.
If you notice, majority of the characters are named after foods or spices.
Yeah. Or
So
underwear.
everything is- yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right.
Beerus and all the gods are like the new gods are named after alcohols.
Mhm.
Mm. Okay.
So what was your thoughts on some of these characters I hear this? Eh?
Well, they're fun. For certainly, I will say one thing that maybe didn't wholly work for me is some of the more comedy elements and banter between some of the characters. I don't know if this is kind of the same style as the whole series of writing, but some of the comedy doesn't totally land for me.
Mhm.
So it's just the banter between the characters and the earlier kind of setup elements of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're good personalities, and I like the designs for sure. In terms of actual dialogue, I don't know if I really got a whole lot out of that aspect of it.
It is one of those things where it would probably work better, like if you had more of a context of a lot of these characters and personality.
Mhm. Mhm.
It would,
If you knew the relationships they had, then you would know, like, okay,
yeah,
that's why that banter was comedic.
yeah.
I did
Do you-
appreciate the Saiyan mom picking the kid up by the tail. And
Oh yeah, that's
the
great.
kid just going limp like when you struck the cat. That was funny.
Yeah.
So do you all think this is a good, accessible movie if you've never seen Dragon Ball movies before, if you've never really seen the show before? Do you think this is kind of accessible somewhat?
I would say it's a fun throw-in adventure, but you probably would be a bit more middling. It would kind of be like, I don't know, like if you saw, like, let's say there was like one of the finales or like a special of Invincible or stuff like that, where it's like you're right in the action of the Virtual Mites, or even like on the like the Avengers, what was it, Infinity War or whatever, and like you're right there. Or like you just start like the new Spyverse, but you've never seen the other two Spyverse. You're like, what is happening?
So yeah, it does throw you into the mix pretty much, but it gives also good backstory there. It does help to give more context to things a little bit with the characters there. I feel. What about you, Josh? You think this is pretty accessible?
No, not a chance. Not a chance.
Yeah.
It's so much of added detail. Like, don't get me wrong, they tell a lot of backstory, but like when you get to the nitty gritty, right? If you don't know anything about Frieza, that shouldn't be your first exposure to him, because you're gonna be like,
Yeah,
what's going on? Why is he still alive?
yeah.
And then like Beerus and Whis, you're not gonna understand that dynamic as gods and angels to why they had all this power to help and didn't. You're not gonna understand why the Boma jokes are funny about her aging, because she's been lying about her age for so long. Just like little Lori information things. Like it's not a good, like, as far as, I don't think any Dragon Ball movie will be a good movie to start with. Like majority of the movies are either expounding on informations or a side story. And like, if you don't understand why Goku's hair went four different colors, if it's yellow, red, blue, or white, you're not gonna. He's just yelling at that point,
Yeah.
you know. And it's like, okay, get it. Because I know anime, I know this is a transformation, but like, what's the significance? Like, what's your power level? All of that, like scouters, why scouters are important, the Frieza Force in general, like just not having no background information is just not gonna help you without watch this movie and like understand what's going on. At least a person sitting next to you telling you like, oh, okay, look, bad guy, good guy, family, like whatever. But no, yeah, I wouldn't tell nobody like pick this up. This is the start of Dragon Ball Z.
Hmm. I know I don't want to get too much off the rails here, but I don't feel like I don't see Chi Chi a lot. Does Chi Chi ever show back up too much? In
She
the movie?
does, but she does. She gets far less play than like Bulma or anyone else. Just because like it's Goku's wife now, but it's like she doesn't really have a ton to do given just how crazy the scale has gotten.
Right. Yeah.
And Goku,
Uh,
yeah, Goku's off in like weird god plants and stuff like that.
hmm. Yeah.
Listen,
Uh,
I'm very controversial when it comes to Chi Chi. Very controversial because
what?
I feel like she fits the stay-at-home housewife mantra, whose husband is never home, and she just has nothing to contribute. Because, okay, for example, right, Boma, on the other hand, is a genius. She's in charge of the technology company that is basically used for all technological advances in Dragon Ball Z. So we understand why she's important. Chi Chi just kept Goku in line at the beginning and was hitting people with a frying pan and stuff like that. Like once you got out of just regular martial arts, Chi Chi had nothing. She's just a regular human. Like she got to be into the ranks with like Krillin, Tien, Chaozu, like those type of Yamcha, those type of activities. But like now, she's just a housewife. She just take care of the kids and clean up.
Wow. Yeah. I feel like I don't see. Yeah, I don't see too much of Chi Chi anymore there, man.
Yeah, you must have seen.
Hey. Yeah. So yeah, you do see that. But yeah. It was kind of cool. Yeah, getting to catch up with these kind of characters again. I think that. Do you prefer this animation style over something like Dragon Ball Superhero that had more of a CGI animation style? You prefer this one?
Yeah, personally prefer 2D, but like the 3D in Dragon Ball Superhero is still very, very good. Uh, like so one of the best like to be put to screen, my opinion. It's just one of those things of like kind of taste of like kind of how Dragon Ball had such a history of 2D animation. It's something to kind of get used to, but like the Dragon Ball superhero movie, like that animation is much better than like 3D animation you would get for anime like anywhere from 5 to 10 years ago.
Stack it up next to Beast Wars.
Yeah. Or yeah, or even like every now and then there's like some woo faces but it's also like with so much detail that's also in a lot of Toriyama's designs. I'm sure the animators were very grateful for it, like the stripes on Piccolo's arms and stuff like that, or the spots, or a lot of the like patterns a lot of characters have.
What would you say is for you, Mike? What's the worst part of Dragon Ball Super Broly for you?
Dragon Ball Broly. It's one of those things of like the scale is so huge that I do want to see more of the characters come and interact and like, but it's like it's understandable that they can only get so much play. If I choose something was bad, it was like I think you can make the argument that like because not only Beerus is here, but also Whis is here, who are both infinitely more powerful than anyone that plant at the moment. You can make the argument the threat isn't really there at the very, very end, but you can also view it as like this is very much Broly's movie, and like the fear is like, is Broly gonna die? Is Broly gonna get out? All that stuff. Well, yeah.
Mm. What about for you, Josh? If you had to pick a weakest moment in this movie there that you didn't like, or some weak spots.
I got two. One, the lack of usage of the scouters. I would like to see what Broly's power level was progressively, because when just on lore wise, when Nappa first popped Goku's and it was over 9,000. I mean, Vegeta first popped Goku's and it was over 9,000. That dialogue between Nappa and Vegeta was crazy, and it like that's what did it for me. Like, okay, so it's over 9,000 right now. Like, so to imagine what Broly's power level was in base form, and then when he started to progress to Legendary Super Saiyan, if Chili or Lemon could have just popped their scouters for a second and just gave us a little what's the word, power level scaling, I would have been cool because like I told you in the original Broly, he beat up everybody. Trunks tried, Gohan tried, Piccolo tried, Vegeta tried, Goku tried. And this one, it was just like, okay, we see how strong he is. It's just Goku and Vegeta. Like if we would have had a moment where like, I don't know, let's just say Piccolo would have rushed him. And then they popped the scouter and Piccolo, he got you by 20,000 on the power level scale. Just, go have a seat right quick. Goku and them got this. You know what I'm saying? I would have appreciated that a little more. And then the second thing, I wish, what's the word I want to say? I wish it was more inclusive with like the relationship between Goku and Broly. Like the end was cute. That conversation was cute. I wish we could have got just a little more interaction because I feel like Broly and Goku have similar backstories. It's just one hit their head, one didn't. So the having to learn how to live part of it, like somebody is in your life loving you, showing you that this is right, this is wrong, do this, don't do this. Like I really like that. So I feel like Goku could relate to Broly now a lot more than the old Broly. So it would have made sense to like let them interact a little more.
Mm. Yeah. You mentioned like Goku and Vegeta. That's kind of the thing, like the series of Dragon Ball. Like it's mostly just kind of focused on those two now, and then
Mhm.
like the Z fighters, who are like the protectors of the Earth, are mostly just there to stall until
Yeah.
really, Goku and Vegeta get.
Go collect the Dragon
The
Balls and wish
superhero
somebody
has
else
come
alive.
back to kind of give Gohan and Piccolo more of a screen time.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I liked. I liked that quite a bit there.
Mhm.
Yeah. What about you, Sage? You said some of the comedic moments didn't work for you. What were some of kind of the best moments for you there?
Well, for the best moments, I mean, I think just the sheer spectacle of the battle was very
Mm.
impressive. It's just so larger than life and chaotic. I had someone else sitting on the couch while I was watching it, and they were like had to turn
Kind
their
of
eyes away
crazy.
because there's just so many flashing lights and colors. But I love that honestly. I also I really appreciated. Michael actually mentioned one of my favorite moments already, but where Freeze is like, here, just let me kill you real quick. Hey, look what happened. Well, look what they did to your dad.
Yeah.
Just that's some of the comedy that did work for him, where he was just it's just the over the top evil that the character was capable of, and the vanity of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that yeah, it's like a fun popcorn movie to throw on and just kind of have a good time with. Yeah, that part of it really works for me.
Mm, very nice. And this is the scene right here, which I did think was one of kind of the better scenes in the movie. It does really work really well.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Shall we put him to a little test?
Motion there.
Broly, look! It's such a tragedy! It's your father! He was killed by a stray energy blast!
Nice needle drop too, but that's really good. Oh man. Freeze is probably, I mean, probably the best villain in all of Dragon Ball. I guess that's
Yeah,
why.
he's very one of the most
Mm.
iconic
Mm.
villains out there.
Oh, I can't. I give it to Kid Buu
Mm.
Kid Buu. Kid
Kid
Buu's
Buu
also pretty vicious too, I would say.
because he did all that without talking for real. Like no dialogue, grunts, yells, screams, pretty much. Like, and he really handed. Like, in all honesty, they really lost that fight because yeah, okay, Goku ended up blowing him up, but what all did you lose in the process? Kid Buu was just walking around destroying planets willy nilly. He gave everybody the business. They Super Buu had absorbed 5, 6 people. Like we no the Buu. I feel like Kid Buu was probably the most devious. He had took out some Supreme Kais before they sealed him away. Like he was working. Frieza has the best story and like dialogue, but I feel like the best villain was Kid Buu for sure. He didn't care about nothing.
Mm. So I'm gonna go ahead and get guys' final thoughts and ratings on the Sage. What will be your final thoughts and rating for Dragon Ball Super Broly?
Yeah, I was kind of honestly pleasantly surprised by this, just not totally knowing what to expect from actually sitting down to watch the anime itself. I had a fun time. I can't say I loved it, but I'd probably give it like like a solid tune in. I thought this was a lot of fun. It's got me interested in trying to watch more of the other,
Mhm.
at least recent movies for sure, and just to give those a shot. And has me looking forward to the Sparking Zero game coming out later this year even more.
Mhm.
Mm.
So what you give it a stream it, tune in, or
Tune in.
tune in? Okay. Mike, what about you?
I'll give it a tune in for people who aren't like Dragon Ball fans, but like this is like peak for like hardcore Dragon Ball fans or like people who like grew up with the stuff. Like this is gonna like hit that itch for you.
Mm.
Mm. And what about you, Joe?
Yeah, no, for sure. Literally, I don't want to say the same thing he said, but stream it for anybody that's a real fan of the Dragon Ball Z. This is that fix that we have been waiting for a long time, and it's one of my favorite characters in introducing Broly and making him canon and real. Um, if you're like a casual, just anime fan, I'll say tune in. If you're not even an anime fan, I don't know. It's now, we'll have to talk. Like I have to like give you some background on it first before I can give you a rating because I don't know. Like to
Mhm.
a civilian, this might not be a good movie to a civilian.
Yeah. Like I said, this may be a lot for people. Sage, I mean, he
Mm,
had somebody next to him, and they was having seizures, and the
yeah,
flashing lights,
yeah,
everything going
that
happening on it.
epilepsy.
Like it's just sometimes it could be a lot. And most of this movie, I mean, it is a big battle between Vegeta, Goku, and then Broly. And
Mm,
that's kind of mainly what it is. And that's kind of a lot sometimes what you watch Dragon Ball for is for the good kind of fights there and the action.
mhm,
And this delivers on that. The animation is stellar here. Great work there. Great voice work as always. You do have the good Dragon Ball cast coming to do this. We mentioned this was the final performance for the Frieza actor here to come and do it, and he nails it perfectly. Yeah, I mean, some of my only negatives there. I mean, again, the stuff with the Z fighters there is like that's always kind of a little bit of a weak spot because there's only so much they can do there, and so much they
mhm,
can contribute. But yeah, I mean, still very cool, and still the ending of there of Broly and what kind of the conclusion there, and Goku kind of offering of olive branch there of friendship there as always as Goku does. I
mhm,
thought that was really cool. Yeah, it's very impressive. I would say, if you are into Dragon Ball already, and I'm kind of a casual guy there. I wouldn't say Dragon Ball is one of my favorite animes ever. I like it okay. I would kind of give it a strong tune in there. Maybe if you're more of a hardcore fan, maybe like Mike or Josh, maybe you would give it also like a peak, somewhere around that territory there. So yeah, says you gave it a tune in. Mike, you kind of gave it a peak there for you, and Josh, yeah, he gave it a good peak there. For Dragon Ball Super Broly, there.
I actually had one question I'd love to throw at all three of you.
Yeah.
Has there been a little bit of a Homer Simpson effect for Goku? Because I know he's
Yeah, a
never been
bit.
like the smartest character, but he seems, I don't know, he really
From Z,
seemed like he was fitting a dumb blonde at
yeah,
times.
from Z to Super, he does like increase, like his intelligence does decrease a bit. Uh, like a lot more. He does come a bit dumber, but like at the same time, we do get like it does kind of like branch out more for other characters for them to develop. Because in Z, the Goku was definitely a goofy person, but he's still serious. Like he was still a mostly serious guy. And it's like the jokes of like Goku is like a bad dad in like the Cell Saga. It's like it kind of misses the point of like yeah, it's like the point of the Cell Saga is that he doesn't really understand Gohan. But now it's like is I do think he's very talented, but Tortaro does have some problem with characterization and comedy. And Toriyama's even like talked about this because one of the jokes Tortaro was going to do in the Tournament of Power manga was basically it was like Rebrain, who's like a larger small girl with like she has no nose and she's going to talk to like Krillin, who was like small guy, he has no nose either. And originally they were just going to call each other like ugly and stuff like that, and like Krillin's going to be like, "Ah, you're fat" and stuff like that. But Toriyama was like, that doesn't really seem funny if it's just the characters kind of being dicks to each other. So like, why don't you have it so Rebrain views Krillin as very conventionally attractive by her plant standards, And why don't you have her view Android 18, who's like, you know, the very conventionally attractive blonde woman, as like ugly by her standards, because you know, alien biology and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I also say, I mean, look how many hits to the head he's taken. I mean, look.
Oh
I
no,
mean,
totally.
I
That's
mean,
fair.
I mean, look at
That's
this.
fair.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's definitely lost some. There's some brain damage going on there. I mean, there's a lot of CTE there for sure. I mean, probably.
I mean, we
Like Rocky
talking,
5.
yeah, we talking about battle IQ
Mhm.
top 10. He's here. You know what I'm saying? We talking
Mhm.
about life IQ. He's not smarter than third grader for sure.
Yeah.
Who would who would pass the test? Do you think Luffy would pass the test or Goku?
Goku has passed the test before canonically in
Yeah,
in Super. That was part of the thing, but he barely passed it. Luffy doesn't.
barely.
We don't know a ton of that stuff, but Luffy has more personal insight, I'd say. Yeah,
Luffy's gonna pass the test before Goku.
maybe, but
Okay, so if I had Luffy and Goku a fifth grade test, Luffy would probably have a better chance to pass.
no, kind of like I don't know, kind of like Revy from Black Lagoon. Like she has no formal education, but it's like I don't know. There's a good chance she might pass it.
Luffy had like an actual like regular childhood to a certain extent, whereas Goku, his childhood was wild. He had amnesia because he hit his head on a rock. His grandfather passed away early. He's been fighting a militant military group. He's been chasing around an extremely smart scientist girl that's been helping him. His best friend's a bald kid that he came out of nowhere. Like he never really had the time to like learn regular, you know, common sense things.
Master
Everything
Roshi
was
didn't teach him 2 + 2 or
Yeah,
nothing
he
like
did.
that.
Master Roshi did give him a minimal
Yeah,
formal
that-
education.
I
And
mean,
Goku can do some math, and the
Sounds
first
like those blows to the head started.
where Goku,
yeah,
the first book Goku read was like a pornographic book Roshi gave him.
like what we doing with that on the test? That's what we doing with that. At
Well,
least we know like Garp taught Luffy like essentials. The old lady that he left her with like really taught them how to like do certain things. But like, yeah, no, I'm taking Luffy.
Goku could pass a Sports Illustrated quiz before he could pass like a.
Sure. You do a physical test, a gym class test, a pacer test. Oh yeah, no, Goku's pacing it, flying colors.
wow, that was really great. Thank you guys again for coming on.